like we said, this is so. But at the same time, I don't want to stay too long because we don't know whether they can connect or not.
Yes.
You know, that's why. And we don't want to keep Mr. Nduwaita, and then he's also just waiting. Thank
Okay.
you.
So I can slowly begin the conversation, the presentation, and also I
Thank you.
can introduce us, Deniz and me, myself. We are both living in Ankara, Turkey, the capital of Turkey, and we are both architecture students. I have graduated in 2022. Deniz is about to
I'm
graduate
in my last year.
last year.
Yay!
Yes, and
Thank you.
I have recently started my master's at also the same university I graduated from, and I'm slowly going deeper into the neighborhood morphology, urban morphology. But I especially like to focus on the neighborhood scale because it's a scale where we can actually design and touch to the individual, to the family, to the street. It's a good scale without losing the touch of human scale. So that's what I'm dwelling on. And today's presentation is also going to be about that scale. My and Mr. Silva's life's journey from the perspectives of where we lived in the close neighborhood scale. Um, so I can actually.
Kerem, please help me to speak louder because the network is not very strong. I will also switch off my video till when it's necessary. So I will reduce the bandwidth so that we can see your presentation properly and contribute. Thank you.
Okay, I can also close my camera for the presentation uh, if it helps with the connections. Okay, and now here's first the a series of people experiences and architecture journey through lives. So today's topic is focusing on six main topics. Architecture is a cultural reflection. So this is like how the architecture is the materialization or the manifestation of its culture. How living spaces shape behavior, and this opposite is true too. How the behaviors of people shape living spaces. So um, it feeds to itself. Conformity in design and cultural dominance, artistic expression and adaptive reuse, inclusive design as opposed to postmodernist decentralization. This is also, I think, touches closely to uh, local identities and the loss of local identities to the global identity, which is actually not probably a global identity, but it's also culture of small people. So, and lastly, balancing freedom and functionality. So I'm going to talk about my um, beginnings and where I lived through. So this is the map of Turkey, and I've been to, as you can see, three distinct places in Turkey. There's also Belgium part for 3 years in my life, but because it was a NATO military base, I couldn't find any pictures of it. So I have focused on Turkey. Now there are three. I can also use a pen. So the northeast is a region called Black Sea, Karadeniz, in which it has its own local identity in the bigger scale of Turkey. And in that, I'm at uh, Artvin, which is actually close to um, what was the name of this place? Well, Armenia is here and Georgia. Georgia is here. So, and Georgian and Turkish people have kind of a mixture in where I live. Uh, the second place is going to be Izmir, one of the busiest places of Turkey. We have Çanakkale, which is very historical, and then Ankara, the capital. So this is the mountainous area of Artvin. Uh, this river can be seen as the collector of the people. So there are many small villages living, but this river is where they all come together and create a collective identity. And among this, my father's village is located in this path, in this region, and it is defined by the mountains on both sides going up and then connecting. So it creates a closed system almost. And we can also see the elevation. So this is the both the center and the entrance of the village. And then as we go up in elevation and the temperature changes. And at the end, it comes to the highest place, Yayla, and then it goes back. So the people, the indigenous people who live here, has created a pattern of living in which throughout the year, they start at the center, they slowly go up as the temperature rises. So it's always a bit chillier as we go up. And at the center of the summer, people are at Yayla. And then after those months, they go back and they take their animals with them through this journey too. And one of the unique things about this village is that because the elevation is changing, uh, in one season, in one month, you can get an apple, a perfectly grown apple in the center, and in the next month, you can get that on the gut, and on maybe 3 months later, you can have that at La Yayla. So there, the plants and the fruits and vegetables are affected by the geography, and people's behaviors towards them is affected by geography. And now this is a top-down view of the village. So it can be seen that the river is the main connector of all the people and the families. But then we see clusters. And now these clusters are kind of unique to Karadeniz, but also to this area as well. People at Black Sea don't really like to be next to each other. They like their freedom. If they have the chance, they want the nature all to themselves. But here we have a little bit of clustering. And now these are also local identities in themselves. So, for example, the people here, they have a name for themselves, Kayagiller, and they are a special branch of Turks, uh, yellow hair and blue eyes. And they have said to come to this village and have not mixed with the existing people, so they took on a place on their own and they created their identity there. They conversed their identity. Uh, so it's interesting. This whole village is one identity from outside, and inside there are local identities that is made out of maybe 4, 5, or 10 families, changing with time. And this is the view I took from my last visit. And another thing, now this is about the relationship between people's attitudes and its representation on architecture. So on the front, we can see a high neighborhood. Now, this neighborhood is the highest in that village, and that correlates with their general attitude. So the people here called Kayagiller, uh, they always kind of look up to people. They look down on people. They think highly of themselves, and they think they're a bit more, let's say, special. And that attitude of looking down on people has affected their architecture. So they chose the highest peak of that village to generally also look down from their houses. So that's an interesting relationship there people have with their architecture. And that's a local house. Uh, we can see that people have a bit of a freedom to solve their problems however they want to. Um, yeah. So now the next part is Izmir, which will be located here. It's one of the most, uh, the culture of it is closer to West. So it has a bit of an international presence with also that thought of Western ideas. And this is a military base in Izmir. And now, throughout my childhood, I have grown up in military bases because of my father's work.
Yes,
And
because of your father.
because, yes, because of my father. And um he, well, a military-based lifestyle is very isolated and unique to its own uh, settings. So now, if I can break this down, these are all housings. Sometimes we have apartments, and then sometimes we have individual villas, houses, and that depends on where you are at the hierarchy of the military. And there's a school in the center, so that is basically the only not commercial but public building, and
Uh,
everything
uh,
else, yes.
it's I think it's another city in city.
Yes, it's a city inside a city where it has its walls, so it has a closed reality, and it has a microcosmos in itself. And you can also see that there's these buildings, and then there are these buildings, which is divided by a public park and a school. So now these two also is defined by the hierarchy. So the higher ups would be here with their big gardens and houses, and a bit low on the lower side of the hierarchy, people would uh, be located here. And I can tell you from my experience that this way of living is actually pleasant for the children because you're in a safe environment with other safe environment kids, and you create friendships with the whole neighborhood, and you know many people of the neighborhood. So it has this sense of togetherness uh, as well. Now, this is Çanakkale, Geyikli. This is the Mediterranean culture of Turkey. And, well, it can be seen that it is made out of several different pieces. There's not one big connection uh, that defines the uh, culture, and socially it is also like that. There's no big identity here. It's all very little pieces, and this is a picture from there, from the street. And now we go to Ankara, which is the capital of Turkey. And now Ankara's center uh, is can be found here, historic center. It has started here, and as time went on, it grew to south, and this is the main Ankara. After that, it has uh, expanded to everywhere. Now, the first part, the first neighborhood I'm going to show is going to be one of the central pieces of this city, and this is Jinnah. And well, this is very different. not very different, but it's different from the European cities, in which, yes, there are streets that are defined by apartments and buildings, but they are all made out of individual apartments. There is no one big horizontal street of apartments that is next to each other, but it's all little individuals. So this shows an interesting dynamic between the state and the local architects and companies that build them. And this is the view from its street. It's, by the way, one of the freshest and nicest streets in Ankara. And now in Etlik, we are in Etlik. Etlik is not a central place. It is designed to be for the families. However, even though it's for the families, it's not like a suburban area of living. It is also filled with apartments. There are street definitions, and there are also parks that complement the spaces between the buildings. And also, this creates a commercial life inside the living spaces. So this is like both like a center, but also uh, a residential area. And this is the street view. The building scale is, let's say, average or at the middle. But this creates also a neighborhood feeling in which the women here come together. If they want to do something, they come together. If they wanna knit, they come together. And the males also have their social groups organized in different places of the city. That is not going to be able to be found in the recent development of Ankara and Turkey. And for example, now we are at Ahi Mesut, in which this is the place where I live. And well, this is defined. I can actually show better from here. There are made out of closed gate communities. So all the buildings here have walls around them. So you do not have an access to the buildings. And what this creates is that uh, there is no street life. And because there are no street life, there are no social bonds to be made. The only thing that connects people is the park here, where people come with their cars, they park, but it doesn't really create that togetherness or that local identity that we can find in other places. So this place is not here to create an identity. And what happens is, I can observe from my mother, she goes into depression because she doesn't feel like she's connected to anything or anybody around her. And this creates unhappy people. So, yes, this has been my journey. That's some several places from Turkey, and it's now the journey of Mr. Silva. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kerem. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you so much. So much one can learn by listening about how we live together, how we grew up together in a particular place. And it's really interesting. So I would share my own journey well, I was born in 1971. Uh, so we can go to the next slide. I was born on the island of Sri Lanka, where I lived for 10 years. Sri Lanka is in the corner there. Uh, I don't have the capacity to show with. I'm using my phone, so I'm not able to show where Sri Lanka is. But I think there's an arrow showing Sri Lanka there. Okay,
Also,
so what? This is an aerial view of.
I am
Thank
sharing
you.
it again. I have a little bit of
Okay,
a problem. Okay, yes.
Okay.
So the next slide here.
Okay. Thank you. I can see Welawata. Can you all see Welawata?
Oh,
Yep.
Velavata
Welawata, Colombo.
here.
No, the one before this. No, no, the one before this.
Uh, Is it coming into late? Because I think there might be a delay in which I change the slide and it.
Yeah, you can stop here. No,
Okay,
the
okay,
first one you showed.
we have a slight delay between what I do and when it
Can
comes to you. So I
can we start from the beginning?
yes, I'm at the
Thank you.
beginning now.
Okay, thank you. So can you see Welawata?
Yes, we can see.
Okay, Welawata is a district of the capital Colombo in Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is an island of about 22 million people, and I was born on the island of Sri Lanka and spent 10 years there before I moved to where I am in Nigeria. Um, so this is where I was there last year to try and trace when I went to Sri Lanka. I tried to trace the hospital where I was born, but I found out that that little hospital is no more. It's it's closed down, and it's just a residential building there now. So this is an aerial view. It's a seaside. I mean, Colombo, the capital, is beside the sea. Well, it's an island anyway, so it's completely landlocked. So if you want to enter Sri Lanka, you must come by air into the country. You cannot go by train or road across the country. So yeah, so this is where I was born, Welawata. I think there's another picture of Welawata somewhere, but if you can't find it, then we go to the next one. In fact, I just while Kerem is doing that, I remember that I had even misplaced my birth certificate. So a few years ago, I tried to yeah, there it is. So a few years ago, I tried to go